I'm an earthworm woman. In the mornings, I fill my tanks by breathing the energy of the sea and tasting the power of the sun penetrating my skin. There's an air of no care, which comes with age, and I hold my head up proudly, liking who I've become. I'm not afraid of smells, or dirt, or to walk barefoot across the stones. Sometimes I wade through the shallow water just to embrace its fluid element, my hair often crazy and loose, being pulled by and flying in the wind. I can be glamorous if I want to, although makeup was never my thing. And I've learnt that life is for living, not fearing, and so I absorb it like a sponge. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And Grand Rising, there was a little bit of a freak out. I've just up to the last minute, so I'm sorry if I'm a bit late. I accidentally opened myself on the screen twice. So, I had to call emergency on the nullarbor. So, good morning. And today, that's my sister behind there. Today, I'm talking with a man called Tony, who's a fantastic photographer. We met a few years back. I'm going to bring him in a second, but I was talking to him about his space because I'm still looking for the space to film Marooned. And I don't know, we just started talking about connections and different things like that. And I said, why don't you come on Earthworm Woman? And we'll talk about, I don't know, authentic connections, or can't remember what it was now. I'm just going to bring him in. So here we go. There's Tony in his studio. That's your studio, isn't it? Part of the office of the studio.
Yeah, it's the office of the studio, yes. Yeah.
So I met you about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And I did meet you on a dating app because, this is the world we live in. And I'm really interested in talking about that as well, because, everything's very much online, and people don't so much meet people in real life anymore. But also it's almost a broader way of meeting people as well, because you don't really know who you're going to come across. There's Chan Murphy. So yeah, we met, and pretty much a lot of the people on this who watch this are the same mindset. So we quickly worked out when I met you that we were on the same mindset of the world and things like that, which is always a relief, because it kind of opens up conversation very quickly. Do you think that? Do you find that?
Look, for me, it's energy's a big thing for me. So I think I felt that we're on the same page with energy.
Yeah,
And
definitely energy. And but yeah, so when was that? About 3 or 4 years ago?
at least I would think.
I don't know. Yeah, I know. Time is just racing. Oh, but hang on. 3 or 4 years ago, were we actually allowed to be out in the streets?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we
So
were.
it was probably a little bit before COVID, I think.
No.
No, you don't think so?
No, because that's what I'm saying. I remember. No, because I wasn't. I was. I was still with Michael before COVID, and as I was saying, I had another photographic shoot. So I had a photographic shoot with Tony as well afterwards. And we'll show some of those images. I've managed to put them up over here. But before COVID, me and Michael went sort of open on our relationship, which I have to say, was pretty disastrous. If you've been in a long-term relationship, 20 years, and then you decide to open the door, I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, no, I did have a date, whatever, with this guy who was also a photographer, but I met him again like last year sometime. And if you're not on the same page, I think it really. Well, actually, I'm not saying that he was 100% not on the same page, but anyway, look, I'm rambling on. What's about yourself? So let's talk about you. So you're a photographer. Um,
I've been in photography since about the late 80s. And probably my photography's had more a spirit. Well, it's commercially in its visual, but it's got a lot of energy and presence attached to it. So I'm not into the post-processing or the all the tech stuff, but I
yep.
love the connection. So I try to relax myself as much as possible, bring attention to the person I'm photographing, and have their walls come down. And then when their walls come down, that's where emotion is felt by the viewer as well. But I'm also big on aesthetics, so I pose everyone to their best aesthetic, or what I believe their best aesthetic is. Yeah, so it's been a career for me. It's
Yeah, that's right. Because I don't think you use natural light as well, didn't you?
I,
As much as
I
possible.
use I've used mostly natural. That's my first choice, but I also got some old tungsten lights from the ABC from a sale they had, and I've used the constant tungsten lights a lot as well. Um, but yeah, I used to do a lot of calendar work. So that was where I got mainly known for, was with the AFL footballers and with fitness women. I
Yeah.
I I did calendars that promoted free weights for women, because a lot of women back in the day, they were scared of weights. They thought they were going to get bulky, and a lot of the imagery that was on the market was of bulky women. So I tried to present women that just look generally fit, and have them holding weights. And yeah, and that proved to be really successful for me.
Osteoporosis is supposed to be
Yeah, it is
weight,
good for that too. Yeah.
weights, bones. Yeah. Um, so just going. So you wanted to talk about, or was it? Did you say authentic connections, or just
Yeah.
was it about how we meet people these days, or how the people you've seemed to come across? Yeah. Expand a bit what you mean.
Look, I think for me, since I was a little kid, I would feel people's energy. And for me, when I talk energy, I'm talking thoughts and feelings.
Mm.
And as a little kid, I didn't realize it. So my parents both had issues that they were covering, like most human beings seem to. But as a kid, I had no idea of that. But I used to feel discomfort in mum and dad. And then,
Okay.
um,
Interesting.
and then as I got older, I started to find, especially in relationships, like I'd feel the people I was dating, I'd feel their thoughts and feelings. I wouldn't know that that's what I was doing, but I would just feel um, great or not great or whatever. And then there was one particular person I met, a lady I met, that was very strong in energy. And once again, I didn't know what energy was at this stage, but I fell in love with her. Um, she didn't fall in love with me, or at least I don't, not on the surface. So that's where I started to doubt my intuitive feelings. And that's where I thought there must be some other form of communication other than the five senses. And then that's where the whole energy
Okay.
thing started. Yeah.
Well, so were you quite young then at the
No,
time?
no, I wasn't. This was 2003.
Mm.
When I things got so strong with the energy that I felt like I was going up and down like a yo-yo, and I was doubting what I was feeling, because this lady was saying, no, 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 you're wrong about what you're feeling. There's
Ah.
nothing reciprocal there, and but it was the strongest feeling I'd had in my life,
Yeah,
and
like you can almost see behind what they're putting out, sort of thing. They're
well, she sort of described it to me later as that she just dropped her walls for some reason, that she'd yeah, that she for whatever reason she just dropped her walls, and then I'd almost downloaded all these great things about her that I was feeling. Um, and but she'd been hurt in life, and as I had to, and so she tried to keep a barrier to letting her feelings go, I suppose. But the
mm,
wash up for me being nothing eventuated with the relationship or the friendship, but it exposed me to what energy was, and that for the
mm.
first time in my life, I I became aware that when we have thoughts and feelings, they actually communicate just like the five senses do. And then I
You
realised in
can't
my
hide.
yeah, and it was something in my photography way before I knew what energy was. It
Mm,
was evident in my photography because I'd be trying to get people to drop their walls.
mm.
And
Well, look, maybe quickly. I'll just if I where did I put it? Where did I put it? I'm just going to show. I think I have to put us down.
yeah,
One of the photos that you did. Um, if you mean this one.
yeah, yeah, that was definitely one
Oh,
of
I don't
them.
have to put us down.
Yeah, so that was definitely one of them where I feel that when you look at the photo, you're not looking at a person that's aware of a camera, but we're getting invited into your emotional world. And I don't know, I see
Something.
various emotions there. That one's a bit more intense.
Yeah, quite like that one, but um, and then that's the one I like. One of
Okay.
the ones I like because I look so tall.
Well, that looks very present too. Like it looks authentic. So when I'm talking authenticity, it's that presence. You're not putting on a false expression.
Yeah. No, I look. I love having my photo taken, but it does take a little while because this is the thing. I don't know if it's just a female thing. I doubt that. Very judgmental of yourself.
Mm.
And but like us, because I do lots of theatre and bits of film. I'm going to be doing this pieces of film. Um, that's where you don't judge yourself because you're not being you, being someone
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting. But what you've experienced with that person specifically, where you were seeing more, that's a real example of how we are when we go to meet people, and we only give them like this much, but it's like you're in the next layer with the
Yeah,
bits
look,
that they've not put in.
I started journaling around that time as well, just to try and understand my own emotions a lot better. And I feel that all of us exchange energy, like whether we're aware of energy, not aware of energy, spiritual or material, that we're all exchanging energy, but we're not aware
Mm,
that we're exchanging it, or not. A lot of us aren't aware that we're exchanging it. So um, I think it's really important that to be transparent, like as a world thing, that if people were more transparent, those that are most sensitive to energy, which there's a term empath that some of the people listening in might have heard of,
mm,
and I didn't know what it was. I just stumbled across it. But in my writing and my journaling, I'd wondered if some people were more sensitive to energy than others. And
mm-hmm,
when I say sensitive, not sensitive acting, because some people that are very sensitive to energy can be quite hard and aggressive and intimidating
mm.
because they've taken on so much energy. Um, but yeah, I just think that mental health would be a lot better. I think if the world was transparent, if we weren't.
Yeah, I think I don't. Is it bragging to say you're an empath? I don't know. I feel like I do pick up people's energy, not to the depth that you're talking about necessarily, but I'll actually approach someone if I think they're not right.
Yep.
It's just things like that. Whereas most people would just maybe don't notice or whatever. And that's probably what you're sort of talking about there. Kind of lost the ability to tap into people's or being aware.
Well, I think for me, it's a world thing. Like the world we're born into is more about promoting survival, competition, win at all costs, appearances. And I think we all just get brought up that way. So, like my dad, for example, I think he was really, really sensitive, but he was a big man and he was raised by his father and also boarding school to be very tough and strong and this and that, but it was at odds with his sensitivity.
Right.
But he well, at school he had what they now know as dyslexia, and they at the boarding school the nurses used to beat him for being stupid, and then
Oh
he'd,
my
he'd,
God.
he'd get
Yeah,
home
they
from
can't
boarding
read
school.
they can't actually read properly. I
Yeah,
think
they
a lot of people are dyslexic. Yeah,
yeah they thought he was being just smart,
playing
a
around.
smart ass or
Right.
something. And
Yeah.
but the point being that he was very sensitive, and when he was relaxed and calm as a little kid, I would feel incredible around him.
Mm.
But then when he'd get at the factory, the family factory, when he'd go into the office side of the family factory, I might be holding his hand. We'd walk from one side of the factory to the other, and it's like he disappeared as soon as he got into the office where he felt that he wasn't smart. His energy would totally change. And as a kid, I didn't know what energy was. All I felt was this amazing shift, which wasn't amazing. It was terrible.
Mm.
And now when I look at it, I can understand what was happening. And
Were you an
um,
only child?
I was, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. And you picked up your parents had trouble or issues, whatever. They weren't, yeah, but you never saw it.
So yeah, you didn't see it because they'd put
Mm.
on fronts. And whether they're doing that consciously or unconsciously, but I do think in society we put on fronts.
Mm-hmm.
We're not that transparent. And in my industry in photography and model photography, which I've done a lot of, the models do put up fronts. They go through their poses and just one to the other, and often they don't want to be directed and they don't want to be connected with because it's
Mm.
uncomfortable for them. They're used to keeping that front.
Wow, that's really interesting. And all the makeup and everything behind the hair, it's that's all part of it, I suppose. I mean, it's also it's a front on one hand, but it's also a performance
Mm.
in a way if they are doing it for a product or something.
I think though, when a model or a person that's being photographed lets go of their defences, when they're usually if they're trusting the process and the photographer's energy, and they let go, like you did in our shoot, then the photo goes to another level of attraction. It pulls people into the image, and even with my commercial work, which was very, you could say, with the female thing, it was more on the sexier side, perhaps, but the models were still very present. And the people that were buying the calendars may not have known what they were getting attracted to, but I felt it was the aesthetic and the energy. They were feeling really drawn into the subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm.
and interesting with acting, you mentioned your acting. When I watch movies, the actors that are really present, even though they're acting, you can still feel a quality of presence or authenticity in the people that are really genuine when they're acting.
Mm. Oh, I think absolutely. Otherwise, you're just watching a kind of say if it was a well-known actor, you're watching that actor. But if you're totally drawn into the character, like the Timothy Chalamet, he's someone like that. You know, I haven't seen many films recently, but he's someone who changes all the time, and you get very much in who he's being. Um, Apart from the most recent one I saw of him, I didn't particularly like the film, I suppose, so it didn't do much. I didn't like him, didn't like the character, so it didn't.
Yeah.
But what was that? I forgot what it's called. But so just going back, going to connections again in the world of dating and all of that stuff, right? Do you think people are because we are in this a lot. Well, we're not supposed to be because they're supposed to be doing the digital ID and we weren't supposed to be online. But anyway, people are in the online world a huge amount, and that's like from Instagram, young people, everything comes from there. Um, everything, a lot of them meet through dating apps. That's all they do, and they go from one to the next to the next. Um, but do you think because we have all of that stuff, people, what's my question? Either are they looking for the impossible? You know what I mean? They can decide a whole list of things that they're after, and yet the person that they're supposed to meet might be just up the road, but they don't tick all the boxes, whatever. That they're people becoming too, you know, this is what I'm looking for. Blah 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 blah. Looking for the perfect when doesn't not necessarily going to be perfect. That's a big question. It's probably just a yes or no answer.
Look, it is interesting. I think that pace the pace of the world has us not be that authentic in general. And then I'll draw it back to relationships. So then in relationship, I don't think we're trusting. I think we're coming in. There's a term my mum used to use, counting chickens before they're hatched. And I've done it all my life. Like I'm always pedestaling and relegating what I want, what I don't want, and I get ahead of myself,
Can I
ahead of the
just,
2 seconds.
Can I just put that in my brain? Counting the chickens before they're. Oh, I see. So seeing the end result when they're actually, we haven't even started yet. They're still in the
That's
egg.
right.
Yep. Okay.
That's right. And I think what Mum was saying to me was that I was putting a negative spin, so the glass half empty.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, probably in the counting chickens for the hatch. I'm only going to get 1 chicken or 2 chickens or something, rather
Yeah.
than could be.
Yes.
So I think that we're all going in with preconceived notions of, especially with men and women, because there's such a division between men and women, and I've noticed that through my lifetime that as a male, I'm probably feeling less trusted than ever, just being a male. So I think I'm going in with a lack of trust too.
I'd love to talk about that bit more. Did you want to continue? I mean, what's what do you mean? Expand on that one.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we well, in relationship and in life, we we've all been hurt. There's not a
Oh.
lot of transparency in the world. The service industry is not a service industry, so on every level, we don't really serve from an authentic space. We're serving from need and fear and perhaps greed, all these different things. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking general life now, but it also comes into relationships, so that we are going in with preconceived ideas, and we have triggers that are hit. We don't do a lot of self-reflection. We're all about the need aspect, and if we get this, this will save us, sort of thing.
Yes.
So for me, with relationships, I'm finding that a lot of the online dating, it is uncomfortable. Like you're just not trusting each other. There's preconceived ideas and the things you talk about too, the checklist. But for me, it comes down to, like, I like aesthetics. I've always liked aesthetics, so I'd be having a checklist of sorts of aesthetics, but not
Of
they don't have
course.
to be
Uh,
supermodels. But
100%. I agree with that. Yes. And like you said, it's got to be. You may not on the first time you meet them, you may not see all of well, you might because you've got, but may not see all of their qualities. Obviously, that takes time, and I agree. I think trust is a huge thing. I think we have these walls that. Hang on a second. I've been hurt, or I've not necessarily hurt, but I've been in relationships which have been this way. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to do that again. So I personally feel like I've been on my own now for about, on and off for 4-ish years. Sort of, it was a strange kind of ending with me and Michael, but once it was ended, and this is it's not wanky. I really did find me, which is
Mm-hmm.
really just I just, without going and searching or anything like that, it was just more about being present in myself and doing what I want to do and doing things the way I want to do them, and really thinking deeply. Came back to Rahana, who I'm supposed to have been the whole time, but wasn't because of different situations and circumstances. But so I definitely trust still is there, you know.
The trust is there or isn't there?
Sorry, the trust of whether you meet someone and I don't think you can ever trust 100%. I think you've just got to be open and go in very very much keeping to yourself, and then you will be aware. You'll be aware whether something's going to be good or bad. But we have to trust, even though it's hard to trust. How's that?
It is hard to trust, and there's that saying, loving yourself. Like so many people just keep saying to me, "Oh no, you got to love yourself before you can love someone else," and that's true to an extent. But yeah, it's hard to love yourself. Like
Well, that's all about sort of. Sorry, my neighbours talk. It's all about what I'm saying. About really believing that you're an important human and you've got every right to be loved, and this is who you are, putting yourself out there as that person, which is really hard. But you do get to a point where if you don't, you're kind of like, well, you're hiding a little bit, aren't you? I suppose.
well, yeah,
I'm not
and
talking about you. I'm saying one.
no. The thing that I find in the online dating when I am on it is that so many, and I mean men probably do it too, but so many women are saying, "Oh yes, I want a man who's a man and who's confident, who knows where he's heading, and this and that and that and that." Now, I have a good heart. I think, like I really want to find love and in friendships as well. Like I want to be genuine and authentic, but I'm one of those ones that has that high sensitivity, and I've struggled with my mental health. So I almost feel like an imposter if I tick yes to these women that are saying they
Wow.
want someone that's this, and this.
I actually wrote some notes about that just because it's very interesting because I can see it's the checklist thing. Yeah, they want you got to be the whole question mark about what's masculine now and what's to be masculine or to be feminine is all very blurred. And it's almost like we want too much. Yes, so you have to be this and this, but you can't be too much. You can't be too gentle or have show too much of your soft side. Does that mean you're not masculine then? A man should be able to be all of them if it's in the person. It's not just a man as an alpha male and that's that. You got to be showing being a man is, you know, being
I've something a story that I talk to the people at my photograph. I do photographic workshops, and I talk about energy and I talk about depression. I tell the students that I do get depression. I
yeah,
get depression a lot.
right.
But one of the stories I talk about, I had an AFL career that got cut short, and I love my AFL footy. And there's a team in the AFL Richmond who were a basket case in round about 2016. And I'm paraphrasing and making it shorter, but the basic thing was the coach thought he was going to get sacked. The club was in disarray. The coach didn't end up getting sacked, but he'd hit rock bottom and he'd realised a lot of things about himself. Turned up at pre-season training and just was honest. So he'd been a really tough, intimidating guy, but he'd hit rock bottom and he just was honest with the players. I think there was a sports psychologist, Emma Murray. I could have it wrong who initiated initially, but they had basically a transparency campaign where everyone was just being honest about the things that they were hiding, that they felt they needed to protect. And what it did was, with the club, people were coming to training feeling free. They felt that they could trust their teammates, the other people in the club. They went from a basket case to winning the premiership the very same season, the next season, and then they won 3 of the next 4 premierships. So to me, that rewrote the male thing. By the males in that group being vulnerable and transparent, they had a weight lifted off their shoulders, connected to their intuition, and just revolutionised the club and the league.
That's really interesting because I've been to a few of these luncheon things with the male hug. Do you know about the male hug?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so Tony's, well, he's an accountant as well, but so he's sort of been attached. They've sort of been attached to Marooned. Marooned's about suicide, but it's actually about life. It's actually about hope. It's delves into all this stuff, and so they have sort of supported a bit. And I've always thought, they should fully get behind it because their thing's all about talking, which is what this piece is about as well. But anyway, I went to one of them, and they are very connected to the AFL as well. And there's always these speakers there, AFL ex AFL players, I guess. I know nothing about AFL, but anyway, and I think captains or managers. And I always forget his name. There was a little man who was one of the managers of, God, I was going to say Chelsea for a sec. One of the AFL places. Collingwood?
The player managers are very big with the individual players. They have groups of players.
I think it might have been Collingwood, but anyway. And he sat up there on a stool talking about, look, this is horrendous. He sat there talking about how he was in Scotland, he was a child, and him and his brother, and his mum took her life in front of them. And instead of that child having any love or anything, or I guess there must have been something, they sent them to Australia to the relative. So he grew up here. But when he was sitting there, and he was probably in his 70s, he was like a child. I saw that child. He went back into the, and it was, I'm pretty sure he was crying as well, but he was just, it was so, it was incredible watching him revert to that child back then. So basically what I'm saying is it just doesn't go away. It's still a part of you as well. We've got to accept, there's vulnerabilities, there's weaknesses, or what, it's not even a weakness, that one at all. There's times where you have all of this in you. And there were others as well there, and it was always very emotional going to these luncheons because these people were able to break down that wall of I'm in a big AFL footy, and they were able to speak from their hearts and their vulnerabilities. It was actually beautiful, and I
think you're touching on general philosophy that I think about, and that is that being born as a human, we're born into an environment that's really, really hard, like really tough. And a lot of spiritual people, and I'm not necessarily agreeing 100% with them, but they say that this human existence is one of the hardest, or it's the hardest in the universe. So we're coming into an environment where we've got these souls, but we come into an environment that's surviving, competing, deceiving. It's just all sorts of different things. So we're all getting hurt, but most of us are trying to, especially men, we're trying to suck it up and be tough and that it's all fine. But if we were just, as a whole world, if we could just admit how much hurt it has taken to be human, then I think everything could change. And that's where the Richmond Footy Club showed it.
The suck it up is dreadful. Why should you suck it up? You know?
Well, look, it's interesting, and it sort of gets back to my dating thing. Like, I try to be pretty honest about my feelings, emotions, that I can get depressed at times, etc., etc. But then the other part of it's thinking, like, even from the women, a lot of women don't want to hear that.
They run away at that thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Instead of
they don't.
understanding why.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. It's not like it's
Mm,
a disease you've got on the side of your face. It's
mm,
actually a part of what makes you who you are. And, maybe depression's a difficult one. I've, been around living with a few people who have, like Michael has bipolar. So
mm.
lived with someone who was up and down, not so much down actually. Um, and it's can be in another person I live with. But,
Yep.
and I can see I used to have depression-ish when I was younger, but not to the point. I think I've talked about this before here. Not to the point where it stopped me from living.
Mm.
I could still functioning. But I know that some people, it's just in there all the time. It's like if you poke, you could actually burst that depression open. But so maybe it's worse, like you're saying now. It's a hard time. Maybe things are getting worse because of all of this ticking the boxes thing, and there's a lot of empowerment things going on, and fantastic. But women empowerment workshops to be what? Just to be you, and the same thing even with men. Um, Do they have to go off and explore who they are to find themselves, or is it already there? But they have to just. I mean, I shouldn't put those sort of things down because I know some people benefit from all of that. But I think the answer really is if you just look inside.
Definitely self-reflection. Like I think if we were more inclined to self-reflect and communicate from that level rather than try and appear to be a certain way,
Yeah,
like confident, strong, etc., etc. I think we'd all be a lot healthier, and it'd be that authentic connection we're talking about.
being yourself. That's exactly it. Because those like say these, when you meet someone for the first time on a dating app or something, yeah, it's like it is like 20 questions a bit, can be like an interview
Hmm.
sometimes, um, and that's dreadful because say you might get to question number 3 and they're completely not on your. You think, oh, that's not on my list. Dear, what do I do now? I've got to get to the 20. Not that I've done that. But so we are, like you say, it's harder than how it's a really hard um, time of being if you are on your own. I have met someone recently, and it's I've met them in a completely different way, and just going ahead, being me, um, and it's really lovely. But there's always a little part that goes, oh God, it's really lovely. So that's scary.
Yeah, we get the fear of loss sometimes. If the more we appreciate something, it's hard to then be just relaxed in the moment and not. And that gets back to loving yourself. If we had everything within, if we were abundant within, we wouldn't attach to externals. But I don't think I've met anyone that's 100% self-secure and abundant and not needing something.
Yeah, I don't. Well, that would be a robot,
Hmm.
really, wouldn't it? Or nobody's perfect, and that's what people are looking for. Maybe the perfect in their mind. Um, do you think they are?
Maybe. Look, I think I've had a vision of not a perfection, but a nirvana of sorts. Like that, I think since I was a little kid, I've always had a sense about eternity rather than just normal human life. So I'm always thinking about how I would want life to be, and hence talking about the transparency and And looking at that Richmond Footy Club example where they virtually created an environment and a life for 5 or 6 years where they were near perfect, where they were just really humming. And it just came from honest communication and authentic communication.
Mm.
And I suppose me being an only child with parents that drank a lot and had a lot of issues, I just thought our whole family environment could have been so much different in a good way had
Mm.
we all been able to just talk about things. And I think you think the term transparency, it's transparent parency,
Uh,
and,
yeah.
but parents feel like they have to be a certain way for their kids. So it's probably starting from parenting that we feel we have to be supermen and superwomen for our kids, and we can't admit to our kids that we've got issues, but then we're transferring those issues in our energy anyway.
That's interesting. I mean, I certainly was not a perfect parent. I know, and in these last few years, I've got a lot of shame about leaving about my kids in certain things. Not what I've done to them specifically, but the relationship staying wasn't the best. So you do, as parents, you do your best. I think most parents do
Yeah,
that. You know,
most
you
people.
do what you think is the right thing, and maybe it's not always the right thing in the end. Um, I get on with both of my kids really well now, and I always did. There's never a time when they've abandoned me, but I'm able to have honest conversations with them about mistakes, and I think that's the good thing, you know.
I think it's a great thing as a parent. Like if you struggle with something and then you communicate it with your children in a really honest way, I think you it's much healthier because if you're holding the energy in, you really are hurting your children. And I think of it too, even with animals. Like I've got a website that I started when I found out about energy, and one of the philosophies I wrote about is called Dog Bites and Victims. And it was a situation where I went up to Sydney to do a shoot on a model that I'd known for years, but she's a really powerful energy girl, very intimidating. She had a Rhodesian Ridgeback, and the Rhodesian Ridgeback, I love dogs, and he was licking me, and we were just getting on great for about an hour. And then as we got close to the shoot, she started intimidating me as to how the shoot was going to go, and I didn't speak up for myself. And I went back to the dog, and the dog just bit me. And when I was waiting to get stitched up in the doctor's surgery, I got my journal out and I started writing, and I realised that just before I went back to the dog, I had the most enormous level of self-disgust for not standing up for myself. But it was unconscious
Wow.
until I journaled about it. And when I
Yeah.
journaled about it, I thought, Jesus, no wonder that dog bit me. He had the energy he would have been feeling from me, the vibration would have been just terrific. Now, hard for me to prove that scientifically or rationally, like
That's
people viewing in
incredible,
now.
really.
But, but
Yeah.
intuitively, I feel 100% that's what it is. And so getting back to the parent thing, it's showing an example. Let's say I was an image, you could have me as the dog's parent. Well, that energy's just hurt the dog so much. And I think that happens with parents, that when they're covering up a lot of energy that they're not happy about, and it's not a positive energy, it is going on to the kids, yet the parent thinks they're helping their kid by not telling them.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And you think, okay, well, it hasn't really affected them, whatever, but then you find out either they
It
pushed
does.
it
Yeah.
aside or something. It's going to come out at some point. Um,
Well,
yeah.
it's like it's just such a that thinking of the dog again, like the dog just felt this terrible vibration. And
Mm.
my dad, when he's walking into the office side of the factory, he was feeling really, really terrible about himself. And that's what I naturally then felt. So as humans, we're all exchanging energy, but we don't know that. We're not taught that. It's not regular teaching in school, but we are all affecting each other.
Yeah, there's the one you can, I suppose, feel the most is an uncomfortable energy when you're with someone, and it's really like I don't even know where, and it's just someone you just don't want to be even talking to. I meet lots of people because I don't know, because I talk to people nowadays more. I seem to meet lots of people, especially around where I am. There's a lot of people I meet on the beach because I walk the dogs every morning. And yeah, some I've noticed I used to talk to. And there's one particular woman, I'm sure I've had small conversations with her. She has a dog. Now, her eyes, everything's just sort of, the heads go still and the eyes go down. And it's when I'm walking past and I'm like looking at her to say hi, but it's not coming. So either I've done something she doesn't like, or I can't. I'm trying to, every time I see her, I'm thinking, sure, we've not had any kind of big, discussion perhaps about life or something, about, the what's going on in the world. I'm sure, or maybe she'd look me up or something. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Avoid her. She's probably got germs. I don't know, but it's interesting. There's not many. Most people give off good energy, I think, that I see. Most people that I talk to. I guess I wouldn't talk to them otherwise.
Yeah, I feel that the people that I know, it just depends. If they're triggered, the energy changes. And so, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know whether it's something that I am picking up or I'm imagining I'm picking up, but I've always felt changes when people shift. I can feel it. Like in a photo shoot, it becomes with the students. I sort of say to them, "Did you see that shift? Did you see that difference when?" And they often do. And then when you look at the shot on the computer, the shots all look similar physically, but the one where the energy is really in the moment, we all feel it at the same time.
Wow,
So
that's good.
I think, yeah, I think we all change in our vibration. So you can love someone, but if you get triggered and something gets triggered in you, then that emotion is going to go to the other person.
If you're close to them, for sure, yeah, very much. Yeah, and that's why it's like being a parent, like you're talking about. It is one of the hardest things as well because you're not going to get it right. There's no one got it right, and then you got to protect them from certain things. You've got to make sure you give them enough. You got to you will screw up, and then you got to undo that or admit, But that's the same with anything, any working sort of situation, I suppose, as well. But what else? What else? So I've gone through my things on here about the you just the Are you still doing? Are you still looking on? Are you still on dating things or whatever?
I go on and off them. I've been trying to meet people just through things that I'm passionate about. So I do 5 rhythms dance, which is an interesting sort
Oh,
of
do you?
dance,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
freestyle dancing. And then there's a group that does conscious touch, which is interesting. They call it the human forests. I met a good friend through that.
Human forest. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's conscious touch. So it's authentic touch. So it's not a sexual thing. It's like I think it's a worldwide thing that they do, this human forest. But you have a blindfold, and the person getting touched is blindfolded, so they don't know who's touching them. But the person that's touching does know who they're touching.
So it's energy.
Yeah, so it's
You'd pick up energy, surely there.
you do
Yeah.
you pick up well, touch, yeah, because the energy comes through the touch probably stronger than anything.
Yeah. So the five rhythms dance thing as well. That's a lot of people going into that. I've done a couple of those. I think it's called ecstatic dance or something like that, where
Yeah,
it's. I think five rhythms is a bit different because it is the five rhythms or something. I've never done that, but
yeah. It, it's just what I like about it is it's no choreography, so you're
yeah.
just intuitive. Because I did the salsa dancing, and I found the choreography would really test me a lot, and I'd get
Oh, I love that.
self-conscious.
I want to go to do salsa dancing again. I do tap dancing,
Okay. Yep.
and
Yep.
when I was in the beginning of COVID thing, I did an online flamenco dance classes. I loved that. I want to do that again too. But but anyway, the ecstatic dancing and all those sort of things is it's another kind of it's an example of how people are trying to connect with people because you would meet people more on your wavelength ish in those areas, right? In those places.
Yeah, look, you would think so. Like people that are seeking deeper meaning, I think, because that's a massive thing. It's just I think we're all searching for meaning and purpose, whether we realise it or not. But and that's where, for me, the only thing I can think as a direction for real meaning and purpose is authentic connection. I mean,
I didn't.
otherwise,
When I went to these couple of things, I can't remember the guy. There was a DJ thing. I found people very much in their own head. They weren't really connecting at all. It was
yep,
free
yep.
dancing, but I was quite surprised how a couple of smiles here and there, but I was quite surprised how no everyone was just like there for themselves a little bit.
Yeah, look, I have found that. I find some people like it's a trust thing we talk about. The more you go and the more people see you there, I suppose they
Yeah.
start to connect with you more. Um, the the human forest is very connected because it's conscious. They'll talk to you about it before you get into the touching side of things. They they really open the channels of what the intent is. So that can be really good.
Have you ever gone to Confest?
No, I've been invited to go there this year. Whether I go or not's another thing. I'm not sure,
So have
but
I. Whether I
have
go or
you?
not.
You've been invited, but you haven't
Yeah,
gone yet. Well,
yeah. I
yeah.
might actually be shooting the film then anyway. But yeah, no, I've never. But I'm not sure 100% what that's for. Are people going there to find themselves, or is it just a connecting thing? Yeah, I don't know. But,
Well, look, what's anything for? Like I'd love tennis and sport, but then when I step back from it, I think, you know, is it really? What's the purpose of anything, including sport? Because half the time in tennis, even in the old man's tennis, which I'm playing now, like the Masters tennis, they get so competitive and so disconnected, and it just seems crazy to me. Like, whereas I think sport, whoever came up with sport, and even whoever designed the first ball, I mean, an amazing thing that you can have fun and I look at the guy at the other end or the woman at the other end of the tennis court. I need them to play the game. But we so easily get caught into combat and competitiveness and winning. And
so really? Is that how it becomes? When you get,
well, I think so. Like
yeah.
if when it
I
gets
used to play
to any,
tennis.
yeah, like it shouldn't be. Like it should just be fun.
No, I was just going to
And
say, like years ago, I don't know where, I can't remember where I was, whatever. We used to have laughing fits playing tennis. I don't know why, probably because I was so bad at it. It's one of those things that should be just fun, you know?
well, yeah,
But
it
it
should be.
isn't.
Like
Yeah.
so.
I mean, when I go to my tap dancing class, we do a routine, and I do like that because you go because you're learning a routine all the time. But it's fun. It actually is fun,
Yeah.
you know. And I get a bit irritated when people don't hurry up and stand up quickly, start the class, and they stop in the middle and start blabbering away. I'm like, no, I'm here for this class. Come on, get back.
Yeah, look, I think things. I would love to live a life where everything I did, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Why shouldn't you? Yeah. I think we've reached an age where, what the hell, we should be doing, you know, we should be doing everything we want to do at the moment. Unfortunately, I have to still do work when it comes to pay the rent, blah, 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 blah. But I would love to just be able to be only doing my creative things and living the way. And that's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother discussion there, because that's all connected to survival as well, and
Yeah.
how, we have to do certain things to pay these ridiculous, well, I do, ridiculous rents and things like that, and these insane bills that come through, just to live how we want to live.
Yeah, look, it's the survival thing's enormous. It's I'm doing a course at the moment. A couple of psychologists run a meetup group not a meetup group. It's a Zoom meetup, and they're really focusing in on awareness, which is what they say we all have, like the shared awareness, presence, and then the survival and how we have preferences, and they're trying to educate us to just not connect to the preferences so much and realize that the awareness, connect to the awareness and then act from the awareness.
There we go. That's it.
So,
yeah.
but
Because you might be
very
looking in
difficult.
the wrong direction. You might be going, oh no, but that's what I'm looking for over there, there. And the other thing, what you really should be connecting with is over there.
That's right.
You never know. But anything else you want to say about any other kind of drawing to a close?
Yeah, no, I
You've
think,
got a list.
yeah, I had a bit of a list of different things, but yeah, look, if anyone's interested, can I say the website? What the website is?
Absolutely. The dog one or the no, your photography one.
No, that's the philosophies. It's got photography on it, but it's got the philosophies
yeah,
as well.
absolutely. You can either write it in the private chat, and I can copy and paste it across, which might be the best thing, if you can do that.
Or I could just put it, if I go join the chat, I'm hopeless for tech.
Join the chat. I think if you can post a comment, you can put it in there.
Connect to comments.
Because I don't. Otherwise, I'll just write it. You can tell me what it is.
Well, it's Leap of Faith. LEAPOFAITH.com.au.
Absolutely. So what happens with this as well is this. What's that? This goes everywhere, and it goes onto Twitter, and it goes. It stays out there for a while. This discussion, and I put it up onto YouTube, and so lots of people looking. Not just always now. We've got a few people there, but there'll be lots of people looking at it after here as well. And you can even put it on your website if you want. If you've got, if I put it right there, leapoffaith.com.au.
Yep, that's the one. Very good.
Leap of faith, yeah, that's an interesting term, exactly, and that's what it is. So being in the moment, leap of faith, staying, trying, just.
Well, it actually came. The leap of faith in 2003. I came across a spot near my building where a guy in 1917, I think it was. He dived. He did this dive into the river in Northcote here, in front of 80,000 people, and he dived from 217 feet or something, and it's a world record dive, and he survived. And so I coined leap of faith from that, because I thought once he's jumped, he can't reverse his jump. He just had to keep going and
So he was doing
survive.
it not to take his life. He was doing it for,
No, it was a it was a big thing. I said 80,000 people in the park watching it. So,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. Well, can't do. I'm not going to do anything like that. But I think just making Marooned is a leap of faith for me. Making a film, you know, people are. I can do the play. I've produced the play 90-something times, but actually going, okay, no. Now we're doing this, and I'm focused.
Sounds
Pardon the
exciting.
pun. Yeah, no, I'm going to do it, and then I go from there. But I absolutely am doing it. So thank you so much for coming on board today.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah,
It's nice to just chat to, you know, even you might think, oh God, what are we going to talk about? It's going to be a small subject, but it's not. It's a huge subject, and it's connected to so many things. So if anyone wants to get to know Tony, he's in. Be in touch. Well, there we go. Leap of faith. I'll have a look at that later for sure. Hope your dog bites better. Was that a long time ago?
That was many years ago, and yeah, it was just it was a nick on the eye, but it was great because I learnt from it. Like it really made me aware of. So it was.
That's almost significant. It's like, you know, you need your eyes to the camera.
Oh, that's true.
You know, and what were you seeing something? But yeah.
No, look, it was positive for me because it intuitively it just showed me what my energy does to my environment. So so it was good in a way.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to carry on with my sponsorship package now, so I can get that done and send out to people. But if you know any, I'll talk to you after maybe. But if you know anyone at the AFL who might be interested in coming, I'll get the sponsorship package together first. But you know, there's an awful lot of, like you said, depression, mental health stuff in footy, and they do a lot of positive things for it. So I've always thought they're someone who might want to come on board. But I'll say goodbye to everyone, and my 4 sponsors for earthwormwoman. I'm very sorry I haven't talked about them yet. So there's Go to Life, which is I haven't got it here, but it's oxygen, liquid oxygen. Amazing stuff. I take it every day, and I take the other minerals as well. If you want to buy anything through his website, it's somewhere in the comments. And then there's Denise with her hemp flower oil, which I also take. That's why I've got so much energy. I take all these things. No, hemp flower oil, fantastic. And then Maddalena with her exquisite products. Now I'm going to end the stream with her ad. So have a lovely day, everyone, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
I am not just a product made to satisfy the pocket, nor do I require the same fame others seek. I desire your heart, the passions that make you a woman, any woman, ever. My scents are a representation of purpose, courage, confidence, each botanical ingredient a praise of thanksgiving and self-care. The way I feel upon your flesh, a comfort of nourishment, as I feed dehydrated and depleted layers of skin, bursting for a new life of regrowth and youthfulness. If I stir your soul with each application, let it be known that you, too, are an intimate duet woman.